When I came to this country and did not speak a word of English, and it sort of ends up with me achieving or attaining one of the highest ranks as ethnic minority officer in the Metropolitan Police.
Commander Dizaei, Scotland Yard. Commander Dizaei, West Link Commander. I'm in Avonmore Road, W14, urgent assistance required. I've made an arrest. I need urgent assistance, please.
Parliament in this country has given the authorities, such as the police, powers so that we can protect members of the public. In other words, put away terrorists, major drug barons and mafia. It is not there to be abused, to eavesdrop on whether I eat halal meat or not.
In court, this forensic medical examiner said Dizai's wounds were self-inflicted. Iranian-born Ali Dizaei was never a typical policeman. Flamboyant and outspoken, he joined the Metropolitan Police from another force in 1999, the year the Met was labelled institutionally racist.
Assistant Commissioner Tariq Ghafoor lodged a £1.2 million claim against the Met. He claims he was discriminated against on grounds of race, religion and age.
My current case is essentially to do with my treatment at the highest levels of the Met, in particular the discrimination that I have been subjected to over a long period by the present Commissioner, Sir Ian Blair.
You might find this shocking when in fact this incredible amount of power was used to trail me for 2 years in order to find something they could stick on me.
But a year later he was the subject of a huge undercover corruption inquiry, and by 2001 he was suspended. Put on trial for perverting the course of justice and misconduct, in 2003 he was acquitted and resumed his career, being promoted to commander, and before the latest allegations in 2008 he was a leading figure in the Black Police Association.
Institutional racism is very cleverly defined by a High Court judge in the United Kingdom to be unwitting of an inadvertent, unintentional practices which has a disproportionate impact on people of colour.
Commander Dizaei used the Black Police Association as a fig leaf to cover his questionable behaviour and character. If it takes being found guilty before the courts for such a person to be removed from the police service, then that is a positive side to the tragedy.
The prosecution of Ali Dizaei followed an investigation by the police watchdog, the IPCC, who tonight welcomed his conviction.
I think the greatest threat to the reputation of the police service is criminals in uniform like Dizaei. I think this verdict sends out a very clear message that integrity is not negotiable.
I came inside.
But above all, it was the determination of Wa'ad al-Baghdadi that secured a guilty verdict and prison for a once powerful figure held up as a role model for younger ethnic minority officers and even tipped as a future chief constable.
Well, Andy Ty is at Scotland Yard for us now. Andy, Ali Dizai's critics were often accused of being a racist. Does this case, do you think, put all that to rest?
Well, I think Ali Dizaei will always have his die-hard supporters.
This Muslim scholar believes there should be no barriers to signing up. Officers need to understand sometimes the cultural differences to avoid alienating people.
As a Muslim community, we feel that it's very wrong for a male to touch any female Muslim woman or any individual. If we had Muslims in the anti-terrorism, anti-terrorism unit who could be members of detectives in that arena, they would then be able to give the relevant education to relevant colleagues.
I think broadly speaking here, the feeling tonight is one of relief that he's finally been brought to justice, tempered, I think, with some concern that it took such a long time, and that it was the individual bravery of one young immigrant backed by the IPCC which brought it about, rather than the might of the biggest police force in the country. I mean, yes, clearly Ali Dizaei was very adept at exploiting the vulnerability of the Met Police following the Macpherson report, which found it to be institutionally racist. But still, there are many officers past and present who wish the force had been more proactive much sooner, that instead of welcoming Ali Dizaei back into the fold, instead of promoting him, instead of tolerating his frequent criticisms of his employers.
Ali Dizaei, most moderate, peace-loving Muslims would have no problem being stopped, no problem being searched, if it thwarted major murder plots of which they too could be victims.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with passenger profiling. In fact, it's been in existence since 1994. It was experimented by American Airlines. It is, as long as it's based on real intelligence, for example, travel history, how the ticket was purchased, the vulnerable destinations and the persistency of people going to those destinations. It becomes hugely problematic when it's based on ethnicity, religion and country of origin.
Well, we're not talking about all terrorists right now. We're talking about Islamic terrorists, Emily, and it is not just statistically overwhelmingly true that the vast majority of Islamic terrorists have been young men from South Asia, North Africa, or Middle Eastern countries. It is also a logical tautology. I think that Ali's real gripe is with Osama bin Laden. I heard somebody say that this is racist. Osama bin Laden is the biggest racist. Until he calls on Jews and Catholics to join his jihad against Westerners and Americans, it is only logical and necessary for the police to look at Islamic people, because that is who Osama bin Laden has been calling upon to kill Americans.
Thinking that a potential terrorist is going to walk through Heathrow Airport praying and smelling of rosewater is clearly absurd. They are far more cleverer than that.
Do you think that the Metropolitan Police, after the 7/7 bombings or the failed 7/21 bombings, when they were canvassing the videotapes in the subway stops and bus stations, do you think that they were looking for freckled-faced Irish lassies? You know what? Everybody that they showed us fit a certain profile, and that was absolutely the right thing to do. If there is another bombing in air, do you think that we're going to be going to Catholic
American
churches looking for suspects?
Were looking
we are going to be looking at the radical mosques in London and in Luton to try and find the suspects, because that is where the threat is coming from.
When are you people going to tell the truth? When are you people going to tell the people the truth about us? Instead of stop telling them we're terrorists. Who have we bombed? Which individual have we attacked? Which policeman have we had a problem with for 20 months? Now you open our mosque. We're the ones that have been praying on the street. And now you, the police, want to violate us again. I'll fight you. That's what you wanted to hear, isn't it? You want me to fight you? Isn't it, Mr. Policeman? You want to get big and get some stars? Yes, sir, no, sir. I bow this to Allah. And I do not accept you or your authority. I do not accept Tony Blair or Bush. I accept Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I do not fear you people. You people are acting on haste. You show no compassion, no mercy, because it's not instilled into you. You're just bullies. Bullies. Let me strut my shoulders. Let me show this man what for. What are you going to do? Lock me up?
Good evening. The career of Ali Dizaei, one of the most controversial figures in British policing, is almost certainly over tonight after he was jailed for corruption. The 4-year sentence came after he was found guilty of trying to frame an innocent man following a row over a private debt. The police watchdog described Commander Dizaei as a criminal in uniform.
When I came to this country and did not speak a word of English,